Hey, this is Pavel with a C# exercise from the book Visual C# 2012 How to Program. This one is from chapter 10 and it's exercise 5. We are going to create savings account class. And the assignment says we are to create a class savings account and use a static variable annual interest rate to store the annual interest rate. Wow, clever. For all account holders. Each object of the class contains a private instance variable savingsBalance, indicating the amount the saver currently has on deposit. Provide method CalculateMonthlyInterest to calculate the monthly interest by multiplying the savings balance by annual interest rate divided by 12. Okay, that's the formula, and this interest rate should be added to savings balance. We are to provide static method ModifyInterestRate to set the annual interest rate to a new value. And we will test the app. We will create the object Saver1 and Saver2 with balances 2000 and 3000 and the annual interest rate to set to 4%. And then we will calculate the same balances for both savers and increase the interest rate to 5% and calculate the balances with considering that the increase of 1%. Okay, so it's the assignment again. I copied it into my solution. So let's do the create a class called SavingsAccount. Where's my class? Here it is. Alright, so it's SavingsAccount. And in it, we're supposed to have a static variable annual interest rate. So I'll do a public static, and it's gonna be a double annual interest rate, and it's set to 4% initially, so 0.04. And we are having a private. Actually, why did I name this public? This can be private. Private double savings balance, and in our constructor we'll do public savings account, and we accept the starting balance of the account, and not public but public. So we will accept the double of let's call it starting balance, and let's initialize it. Our savings balance at the beginning will equal the starting balance. Okay, so that's our constructor. We can do properties for savings balance, so we can retrieve or set the new data. So we will do public double savings balance, and it's gonna be a get that simply return savings balance. That's our member variable that is being returned, and we will set our savings balance equals. Now remember, it will equal to the balance itself and the interest rate. So we will do the value which will correspond with the balance plus, and we will do the interest rate. Now interest rate will be calculated in a separate method. So but I will just enter it right here. It's gonna be calculate. I'll call it monthly interest. That's gonna be the method that we are going to create right after I type this, and we will pass the value, because value is the actual balance that is gonna be passed into this property. So let's create the method. So public double calculate monthly interest. It accepts the double, and the no, maybe I misspelled it. Hold on a second. Yeah, I did. So it will return the multiplication. If you look at in the assignment, calculate monthly interest is the multiplying the savings balance by annual interest rate, which is divided by 12. Okay, so we will return the value, which is the balance, multiplied by savings, the interest rate, I mean, that's the annual interest rate, divided by 12. And this is the formula that will add the accumulated interest rate to our balance. Okay, so that's our calculate monthly interest rate. The next, we're supposed to have the ability to modify the interest rate. So I will do public static. It's supposed to be static, if you remember. That is it. Provide static method modify interest rate. All right, right there. So static, not string. It's gonna be void modify interest rate, and it will accept the current rate, so just some variable called rate, and in it we will recalculate our annual interest rate, which will now equal to the rate that we pass over here divided by 100. The rate will be, let's say, 12, like 12%. So we divide it by 100, which would be 0.12, 0.12. Or if it's 5, it would be 0.05. We need to do that because that's what we are using to calculate our rates, or manipulate our rates, rather than using the actual, 12, like the number 12 or the number 5. We have to make it into a percentage. Okay, so that's that. And that will set the annual interest rate. We can do a toString method, the classic override. Override. There you go. String to string, and it will return. I'll do it as a formatting string.format. And it will say something like, I don't know, total on savings account is, and then we can add the actual number. So we can do something like, and it's a currency, so I'll put the C in there to make it a currency. And we will actually display the savings balance, and we will display the property rather than the private variable or the member variable. Okay, so that should be really all for our class. Now let's test it. So let's create a saver 1 and saver 2 object. So savings account saver 1 equals new savings account, and we're supposed to pass $2,000 and $3,000 as the initial balances. So this one will be 2,000, and the other one will be 3,000. So we will do savings account saver 2 equals new savings account, and we will pass 3,000. All right, so now let's display what we get. Console dot write line. This will display the saver 1. Remember, this will call the toString method, so this will display the actual balance. Calculation will be based on the $2,000 initial balance. And our console dot write line, this one will be the saver 2. So I will do console dot read line just to pause the screen, or read key, whatever, doesn't matter. And let's see what we get. So this is our initial balance, and that should be actually already, this is not right, because we should have the accumulated interest added to it. So let me actually check what is wrong here. So when we calculate the interest rate, that's correct. Value times, yeah, that's correct. So when we do the savings balance, let me see. So you know what? Let me see. I'll do a quick debugging. Right, when I calculate the interest rate, see what it's going to return to me. And it didn't return anything. It didn't even execute. We are returning savings balance. That's correct. Oh, here it is. Now we have a variable or member variable savings balance, but we are retrieving its properties. We're not using the savings balance directly. We are using a savings balance property over here, which is the one that calculates or adds the interest rate to the actual balance. So when we come to our constructor, we don't assign the variable or the member variable savings balance. We assign the property savings balance with capital S. So let's see if it, yeah, now we got it. So now the interest rate is being added to our balances, which was 2000 and 3000. Now it's 2006 and 3010. Okay, so we have that. So working. So we can now supposed to use the modify interest rate. Okay, so now when we have our accounts, you know what? Let me first make sure that those numbers are actually correct. Oops, that's not what I meant. I wanted a calculator. Okay, so we have a $2006. So we got the interest rate. Let's say it was 0.04 divided by 12 and multiplied by 2000, which is the balance, and we get $6. So when added to 2000, we get 2006. Now this is the monthly interest rate with 4% on the balance of $2,000. Okay, so let's create that, and let's do the changing the interest rate. So after this, we can call the method modify interest rate. Remember, this is a static method. That's why I'm calling it by typing the class name rather than saver1 or saver2 and the name of the method. That's how you call static methods. And let's increase it to 5%. All right. So now we have 5% interest rate. So let's assign that to our saver1 and saver2 balances. So our savings balance, which is the property, now equals to still 2000 actually, because that's the balance we pass in. And once we pass the balance, remember this is where it goes. It will take the value of 2000, which we pass in, and calls the calculate interest rate with the value. Now the interest rate will be is already set over here that we modify the interest rate. The annual interest rate is now set to 5%. So it will perform the calculations with the 5% interest rate, and do the same for the saver2 dot savings balance, and that was a $3,000 initial balance. So now let's print them out and see what we get. So if I run it now, where is it? Over here. This is our first 4% interest rate on $2,000 and $3,000 balances, and over here is our 5% interest rate. So if I run the calculator again, so now the interest rate is 5% divided by 12, because we are calculating monthly payment or monthly interest rate, multiplied by, let's say, the $3,000 balance, and we get 12.5. So we get $3,012.50 when we add 3,000 to 12.5, of course. Okay, so yeah, this is the assignment. It was fairly straightforward. Over here, we created a static variable like they wanted us for the annual interest rate. Since it is changing, we didn't make it a constant. That's why normally you would just create a constant. But we wanted to test have the ability to change the interest rate in our program. So we have a property, we have our constructor savings account that initializes the property of savings balance over here to whatever is being passed. In our case, it was $2,000 for the Saver 1 and $3,000 for the Saver 2. We calculate the interest rate simply by dividing the interest rate 0.04 divided by 12 and multiplying by the amount of the balance, the amount of money in the savings account. This is a method of modifying the interest rate. We will simply get the rate. Let's say in our case it was 5 and divided by 100 in order to get the 0.05. And the two-string method simply outputs the property savings balance, whatever is being held in that, which is the interest rate plus the balance. And in our program we created the object, Saver 1, Saver 2. We output the information. This is where the interest rate was 4%, which we set right here. Then we change the interest rate to 5% by calling the ModifyInterestRate method, which is here. So it set the annual interest rate to 5%, and we calculated the balances still using the $2,000 and $3,000 initial balances, but this time, since the interest rate was 5%, when it came to assign or calculate the total balance, which is the balance plus the interest rate, it called the CalculateMonthlyInterestRate, and the interest rate was set to 5 at this time because we set it programmatically over here. And then we output the new results. Alright, so I hope this was helpful, and if you liked it, please like the video. Please subscribe if you're not yet, and I'll see you next time. Take care.